All right, this
Did you
is gonna
switch
be
hats?
fun.
What?
Did you switch hats?
I'm on my fourth hat.
How have I not noticed you've been doing this whole time?
I literally, when y'all both looked down, I just went, and it's not even the same hat as the first one.
It's the Scorpions. I like all the soccer stuff you got. Okay, we gotta start this thing. We gotta get this thing going. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, here we go.
This is the Always More podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Always More podcast, where we believe there is always more room at the table for honest questions, meaningful conversations, and deeper understanding. Today on the pod, we are talking about our reviews and recommendations of the week. We're talking about K-pop, free samples, border wars, dream homes, foster parenting, listener questions, and so much more. But first, I'm going to welcome my co-host and the best friend in the entire world, Christopher Thomas Ford. Hello, brother.
What up?
And also, guys, this is a really special episode because this is the first episode that we have a special guest. And this guy, we've known him since we were in middle school. Chris, I think you've known him longer.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. But this is our really good friend and just all-around awesome guy, Aaron Flynn. How you doing, sir?
What's up, y'all? I'm doing good.
Dude, so good to see your face and your beard. I'm glad that
It's nice and luscious.
It is so nice and luscious. I wish Mike came in that
too.
You shaved a couple days ago?
No, I just trimmed it.
It's like I've been working on this since 10 a.m.
Oh, man. Dude, I'm really excited. This is like Chris and I Chris has been holding me back. I'll let you guys all know this. I've been wanting to have a special guest for a while, and Chris is like, no, just be patient. Like, let's get a rhythm. And rightfully so.
Yeah, you can't rush into that type of thing. If
Right.
you want to bring in somebody else into your couple thing, you got to take your time. You can't just rush into that.
Yeah, and so I've been eager to have a guest, and so when we were thinking about who should be our first guest, like, man, we have all these really people that we definitely want to interview later down the road, but it just clicked for a lot of reasons to have you because, number one, you're a cool person. Number two, you've been a friend for a long time. Number three, you like soccer, and we like soccer, so that's just, win-win-win. And then it's foster care month, and so it's just a perfect. The stars aligned.
Yeah,
stars aligned.
They usually do when it comes to stuff we want to do.
Right.
It just all works out. I can't explain it.
So how you doing, man? What's going on in your life?
I'm good. Well, yeah, like you just mentioned, it was foster care month, so I guess I should just start off by saying me and my wife are foster parents. So if you don't know me, that's fun. But yeah, I just turned 30 yesterday, actually.
Yeah, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
So I'm
man,
old
you beat me
now.
to it. I was
Let's
gonna give you a big thing.
It's all good. It's your fault.
Big thing.
It's
You
not
asked
too
me
late.
what's going on
we can
in
edit
my life.
this later.
An existential
always edit
crisis. Yeah. You asked me what's going on in my life, and like existential crisis is definitely what's going on in my life. There's a reason. So it's going great. Just had some friends in town, just played a bunch of board games and hung out, and yeah, it's been really good.
Sweet, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we got a fun pod for you today. For everyone listening, this is gonna be a really good one. You're also a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And I used to be a youth pastor, and if there's anything I know about youth ministry is that we love games, and so I have a game for you.
All right. I just lost the game.
Oh, shoot.
You suck. You're the worst.
Bro, why?
You know what? I knew this was a mistake.
Oh. I invite you onto the pod, and this is how you started off. What is that? Oh, the game.
I went to Target yesterday, and there's a board game called The Game, and I was never more pissed off. So
I would imagine so.
It's great.
They know what they're doing.
Okay,
Target knows.
so this game is called Name That Blank, and basically it's kind of like 20 questions, but instead of you get unlimited questions, but you only have 30 seconds to name a certain thing, and we'll give you a category. And so Chris is going to have a timer for 30 seconds, and you can ask yes or no questions, and I'll answer yes or no. And I feel like I know these things. If I don't know, I'll say I don't know, but most of these I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of. So we're going to start off with an athlete, okay?
Okay.
This is it can be from any sport, but that's for you to ask me questions of being to narrow it down. So you have 30 seconds to try to guess this athlete, male or female. Are you ready?
Okay.
Chris, are you ready?
Can you see the timer?
No, but I can just assume.
It's your job. It's your job to yell at him. Yeah.
You'll hear when it goes off.
All right.
All right, you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Male or female?
Male.
Basketball?
No.
Soccer?
Yes.
MLS?
No.
EPL?
No.
German soccer?
No.
Spanish soccer?
No.
Argentinian soccer?
No.
You're so bad at this.
You skipped a big one.
I did. I don't follow European soccer. European soccer?
Yes.
I don't know.
Ah,
Ibrahimovic.
that's it.
Is that 30 seconds?
That was 30
Ibrahimovic.
That was so quick. No.
Dude. I don't follow EPL. Or
French.
any
You
European.
totally skipped the French.
Yeah, I know. And like and so I only know PSG from France, and so
It was PSG too. Keep going.
I guessed Ibrahimovic.
He doesn't play for them anymore.
He did, but I have no idea anybody else on PSG.
I have no idea what either of you guys are talking
Kylian
about.
Mbappe.
No idea.
You don't know who he is?
Listen to me. I follow MLS. That's it.
Oh my god. That's why I asked you yesterday if you
He's a sports baller.
Yeah. Well, but we've talked a bunch in the past, and I've just said like I only follow American soccer because like it's close to home. I can go to a Timbers game. I can go to a FC Dallas game. I can't go to a Chelsea game.
Okay, but you know MLS.
Well, not with that attitude, you can't.
I know MLS okay. I know the Timbers.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
it depends. I'm sorry. I messed everything up.
Okay,
All
no, it's
right,
fine.
We're gonna try this again because I ruined your game. I love it.
No, it's fine. I got one more athlete, and I feel like you might know this person because
Okay.
you know Americans. So, same thing. It's an athlete.
Okay.
Are you ready to go?
Just say when. I'll hit
Yeah.
the button.
Go. Is it an MLS athlete?
No.
Oh crap. Okay. Male or female?
Male.
Okay. Cool. Shoot. What questions to ask? Does he play overseas?
Yes.
He's American.
Yes.
Does he play? Oh, dude, I'm so screwed. For Chelsea?
No.
Ah, shoot.
That was too easy.
That was. Does he play in Spain?
No.
Does he play in England?
No.
I hate everything about this game.
Weston McKinney.
I don't know who that is
Who
either.
beat this? He's an American player.
Okay, but like I know that like they just released the roster, but I was looking at half of it going, I don't know because we don't do anything when it comes to the national stage.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You guys are the worst.
Okay, let's
We're the
change it up.
worst.
Let's
All
change it
right.
up to heroes and villains, okay? Something that we
Okay.
all are aware of here, okay? We
right.
have one for you. You know comic book characters fairly
Yeah.
well, right?
Okay, this one I'll be like, ugh. So
Okay,
like,
now
watch,
I
it's gonna be
deep
terrible.
dive. I'm not going easy on you. I deep dive.
We'll bump this up to 35 seconds.
This game is so much like I was like, how do I prepare for this?
You need to
Apparently
show
don't.
you need to show this to your students and just I want to see what they say.
Just have 1,000-yard stare.
Here you go. All right,
All right.
you ready for this one? It's heroes or villains. So
All right.
and
Marvel,
no,
DC.
yes,
I'm already screwed. Superman villain,
no,
Batman villain,
no,
hero or villain actually.
hero,
Booster Gold.
no,
No.
Okay. A Justice League member,
no,
Teen Titans member,
yes,
Beast Boy.
yes.
Let's go.
Hey,
With 9 seconds to spare.
All right.
Nice.
Is it a Fortnite
Great.
skin? Beast Boy's a Fortnite skin now.
I did not know that.
All right. I got another hero/villain for you. Are you
That
ready
was
to go?
tough. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, you got that one though. Okay, so
All
now
right,
I
yeah.
know your limits now.
I-
I know
you
your
You
limits.
said,
definitely,
you said
like-
DC was hard, so
DC, yeah, I barely know DC, and I know Booster Gold because a friend of mine is obsessed with Booster Gold.
Booster
And-
Gold. Why? Who was
Wha- who-
obsessed with
who-
Booster Gold?
Were they
What-
like a huge Smallville fan? Is that
No. He loves the comics. Like, he digs it.
Wow.
Seth, if you're listening to this, shout out to you for yelling Booster Gold all the
Booster
time.
Gold? Booster Gold.
He just would
Booster
go,
Gold is
Booster
the worst.
Gold!
He is the okay. Whatever.
the best.
I'm not gonna get into a
He's
comic
the
book fight.
best. All right, let's go.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Marvel?
Yes.
Hero, villain.
Villain.
Okay, major villain, minor villain.
Depends on
Is
your
it okay?
perspective.
Is it the person's nemesis?
I
No.
don't know actually.
No.
I don't think so.
Fantastic Four villain?
No.
X-Men villain?
No.
No.
Avengers villain? Like main Avengers villain? Has it been in a movie?
No.
Ah, crap. That narrows it down. Superpowered or like gadgets?
Superpower.
Power.
Dude. It says 0. I'm looking at the timer. Stressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Shot in
Last
the
guess.
dark. Shot in the dark. I'm gonna go Scorpion. I don't know why.
No.
Okay.
It was Agatha all along.
Okay. I said movie and you said no, and I immediately shut off
Because it's a
everything.
show.
It's a
You're
show.
right. You're right.
It's a show.
You're not wrong. Okay, so this sucks. I'm bad at this.
Okay.
Hey, you got 1 out of 4.
I know.
It's true. You got one. Okay.
Let's get degrees, something like that.
I guess.
But nope, it doesn't apply here still. All right, let's go.
Okay.
What
So
do we
we
got?
different category. Actor or actress. Okay.
Crap.
I believe now it's just a gender neutral term, actor.
Is it? Okay. So we're
Yeah.
gonna go with this one because I know you know this person a lot more than I do.
Yes.
Famous performer. There we go.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. You ready to go?
I would put this one like top tier performer, not just.
All
Oh,
right.
I know you would. I know you. That's why I got you here with
Yeah.
me.
All
Okay.
right.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
And go.
Scarlett Johansson. I'm just joking.
Nope.
I just threw out. Did they play a hero or a villain in any movies?
Yeah.
Heroes in most of them.
Heroes in most of them.
A villain, one big one.
Chris Evans. Is it
No.
male or female?
Female.
Oh, well, crap. Alicia Silverstone.
No.
It's the first person I could think of. I guess Scarlett Johansson already. Jessica Alba.
Nope.
I'm so bad at names. What's her name? So bad at this.
That's all right.
Who?
It is probably one of my favorite actresses of all time, Meryl Streep.
Okay, I would never have guessed that.
No, you probably wouldn't have.
I was like trying to think, and Halle Berry is who I was trying to think of. I was like
That
Storm.
would've
She
been a
played
really
Storm.
good guess,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, you want one more, or are you done?
No, keep me going. Let's.
Okay, one
He
more.
said we're gonna play until I
I'm
get
like-
one.
I should never ever go to Vegas.
Okay, this is one more.
play
It's
the
it's an
odds.
it's an we're still in the category of actor.
All right.
And are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Star Wars movies,
No.
superhero movies.
No.
Recent pop culture movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they older than 30 or younger
Yes.
than 30?
Older.
Older than 40?
Yes. I think so.
But younger than 50.
Probably.
Okay. Halle Berry. I really don't know. Is she in action movies or comedy movies?
Both.
That doesn't help me. Zoe Saldana.
Ah, no.
You actually never asked if this was a man or a woman.
Oh.
you
I
suck at
instantly
20
went one.
questions, man.
It was a dude.
It's a dude. I just said.
It's a dude.
I just assumed. Oh.
Well, hey, good on you for assuming female. Then.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. That,
because-
yeah.
Of course, I went
misogyny
back
is
to
not a
one of
lie.
my guesses. Like,
You could have gotten this one too. You really could have. I think if you would have asked
Hold
the right
on.
questions.
show me the picture. Show me the picture more. Brad Pitt. Okay.
Brad
What was he?
Pitt,
Oh,
man.
he was in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
But
For
he
like
was
half a
invisible.
second.
He was invisible.
Yeah.
But then when he's electrocuted, he got like saw his face just for like a half a second.
See, like when I said superhero and y'all just said yes.
He said yes. I said no, but then
but
you
like
my
technically the truth, but like
Yeah.
instantly that's all my thought is like, okay, who's
Who are
like
the stars?
who are the
Yeah.
stars? Yeah, because then you said it was a big one. It was like A-list. Ugh.
Oh man. All right, everyone. We're gonna move forward in this podcast, and we'll probably cut a little bit of that out because
it
that
was
game did not go
embarrassing?
as planned.
It took so long. We're just gonna
Give
say,
me-
hey, Aaron, you want to play a game? And then we'll skip
Just cut it.
ahead.
It just be like, all right, we're gonna do this one.
You did so good, Aaron. You got it.
I did so good. I totally thought y'all were gonna be like, what is the name of the black lightsaber in Clone Wars?
Oh,
And
heck
I would
no,
have been
man.
like, I got this. Yeah, I'm solid. No,
No, that's too easy. It's too easy. I can't go
Or
that
like-
easy on you.
Or like, name the Sinister Six. Yeah, I got this. No, like, ask us questions. and tell us what we know.
You got to put your guests on the spot when you have a podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
If there's one
yeah.
thing I know, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going great.
All right, let's
Baby
move
Yoda
on.
judging me in the background.
All right, let's move forward. We got our Rec and Rev, which is our recommendations and reviews of the week. Aaron, you're our guest, man. What you got for us?
Oh yeah, I should probably pull up my stuff. I have a thing that I got when it was on Kickstarter. It's called Magic Puzzle Company.
Do tell.
There's 3 different puzzles. Basically, it's made by people that do optical illusions. I know that sounds weird, but magicians, optical illusions, and artists got together and created really, really cool and unique puzzles. And one of the cool things about it is when you are done with the puzzle, there is a little baggie that you open up, and it's got a surprise ending. And I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Is it another puzzle?
I don't know if I like that.
I love it.
That brings a little more anxiety to my life, I think.
It brings a little more anxiety to your life, but it adds a whole lot more like joy to the puzzle.
Okay.
It makes it memorable. I'll tell Chris off the air if he wants to, because I don't want to ruin it for your guests that buy it. But you can go on Amazon, you can go on Target, and you can order these. There's 3 different puzzles. My recommendation would be called the Mystery Maze. I have it behind me. That's why I turned around. It's called the Mystery Maze. It's a really cool and unique puzzle that has like a little story, and you can kind of see what's going on throughout the entire thing. But I loved it. I've knocked them out so quickly, and my wife hates puzzles. But when I was doing them, my wife was actually paying attention to what I was doing. So,
all right.
Magic
I'm always
Puzzle
down for
Company.
that.
Chris, what do you have for us, man?
All right, so my recommendations and reviews of the week. We'll start with this movie that I watched on Netflix called Synchronic. So this movie it actually stars Anthony Mackie from Avengers.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
And it's like a weird time travel, trippy drug movie.
Sounds like my kind of thing.
You would love it. Yeah, no, for sure. 100% you would love it. I don't even remember who directs it, but I would expect it to be Christopher Nolan. It's that type of thing.
All right.
So basically there's this drug that allows you to time travel, and Anthony Mackie's character finds it and ends up trying it out. But obviously, there come the issues that he's a black man going back into the past.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like a minor racial commentary, minor drug commentary, and it's just a crazy adventure. It's a little slow to start, but it picks up real quick all of a sudden, and it's such a good movie. I would suggest that to anybody. Obviously, with the exception of small children, because they don't understand drug use.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, they get time travel. They know all about that. It's the drug use.
It's the drug use.
That's it.
Drugs aren't for kids. All right. My next one, because we usually do 2, would be Army of the Dead.
Oh,
so this recently came out also on Netflix.
Zack Snyder?
Yes. This is his first zombie movie since his remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Come on.
And
with Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Again, love Edgar Wright.
So great.
But so this one is more of like almost has like a video game feel. It's a heist movie in a zombie world.
Okay.
It's not just a zombie movie or a heist movie. And it takes the best pieces of both of those genres and puts them together. So you got like Batista is playing the main character, and he's got to get his team into a vault in Vegas to get this massive amount of money, like $200 million or something like that. And they have like a set amount of time to do it before the U.S. nukes Las Vegas because it's full of zombies.
Okay.
So they have to go in, fight off some zombies, and obviously things go wrong. It never goes according to plan.
Of course, naturally.
And there's just a whole lot of craziness and insanity. There's aliens and robots and zombies.
Wow.
It's yeah.
All right, cool. I'm
yeah,
sold.
no, it's a real good movie, man. You got to check it out for
All right.
sure.
It's
and
been on my list.
It sets up a bunch of prequels. One of the prequels they've already finished filming, and then it also gives you the option for like if they want to make a part 2, they can.
It's
a really cool setup.
Sweet.
All right.
I'm down.
Yeah, I put it on my list, and I had 2 friends in town. I asked one of them if they wanted to watch it, and he's like, "I've never seen a zombie movie before." And then I was
What?
like, okay, cool. So Shaun of the Dead's coming up
Yeah,
now.
you can't start with
Wow.
Shaun of the Dead. You gotta start with Shaun of the Dead or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
I tried to get
Wow.
him to watch One Cut of the Dead because I haven't seen it, and y'all recommended it in your
Oh,
zombies
yeah.
episode.
Really
And
good.
Yeah.
truthfully, if my baby wouldn't have woken up, she would have. I would have started watching it before this recording because I really was interested in it, and I found a perfectly fine stream online.
Send me the link for that so I can watch it again.
All right, cool. I'll pull it up. I'll drop it in the comments.
Boom.
All right, so I'm gonna cut mine short. I had another one, but I'm gonna save it for another time. So I binged this show. It's on Apple TV Plus, and it's a alternate reality as to what would have happened if the Russians had beat us to the moon, and it's called For All Mankind.
I saw something about that. I wanted to check it out.
It is interesting because it makes so much sense, and I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, and I don't care because it's just I'm not. It's a little spoiler, but I mean the big spoiler was that the Russians beat us to the moon. But it kind of makes sense because you know America, like whenever someone beats us at something, it's like, oh well, we can do it better, or we'll do something else, and
We went to the moon twice.
right. And so it basically it turns into this like, okay, well Russia beat us there, so we're gonna do something else different, and then the Russia beat us at something else, like, oh well, we're just gonna keep going, and it's like they end up like creating a moon base, and they create these other things. They start mining things on the moon, and it's just really kind of like, if we would have, if it would have turned into more of a competition, we actually might have tried to do more and invest more into our sciences and all that kind of stuff.
Society
And so,
would be much better off if the Russians had won.
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a good show. It's a good drama. I like it.
Is it similar to the vein of The Man in the High Castle, like that kind of or is it like Iron Sky? If you've ever seen that one.
I haven't seen Iron Sky.
From what I understand, it is nothing like Iron Sky.
Okay, Iron Sky is more comedy.
Yeah,
parody.
that's way left field,
No,
like
no, no.
sci-fi.
Okay.
No,
And then like Man in the High
probably more
Castle.
like Man in the High Castle.
It's
is
more
like-
drama, but it's not as
Okay.
dark and as mysterious as that. It's more realistic, I guess. Like it's really like a when I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, this absolutely could have definitely happened. Like America would have been childish and try to up the Russians on every single thing.
Because
So
if America has proven anything, it's that as a country we are childish.
Yep. So cool. All right. Well, that's our Rec and Rev for the week. Let's move forward into our What Did I Miss? Did I do all right there?
Close enough.
Okay.
We'll take it. I like it. I like it.
Okay, you got to do it just because. I mean, you're the one. You are the one with
What did I miss?
It's good stuff. Yes.
I was like half a second away from I yesterday for my birthday got the Hamilton biography.
Ooh.
Nice.
That
The
that-
book?
The
The-
Lin-Manuel
that
Miranda one?
Lin-Manuel Miranda read to like write the play or the musical, and so I was like gonna go, "Wah," but yeah. Then I realized this is an audio podcast.
Oh, well, I
We
mean,
have the video. too.
we have a little bit of video
That's
now.
True. That's true.
If they want to go on YouTube and watch it, they can.
Shameless plug.
What's the YouTube?
Always More podcast.
At youtube.com.
Yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
Just search it.
That was me just trying to be subtle about plugging your own stuff. Come on, y'all. Synergy.
Hashtag shameless plug, man. That's what we do.
Shameless. All right, I'll get this one started off because I just want to get this out of the way because it's simple but it's funny. So, long story short, we had this Belgian farmer and he has this farm and okay, here's what happened. A local history enthusiast was walking in the forest when he noticed that there was a stone marking the boundary between the two countries, between France and Belgium. It had been moved. And so it's kind of weird. So basically what happens is this Belgian farmer, apparently annoyed by the stone in his tractor's path, had moved it inside the French territory. So he moved the French-Belgian border. You do that, you can start a war.
I mean, not if nobody knows.
Well, I guess apparently no one noticed for the longest time. So someone just randomly noticed and like just walking around the forest like, oh, this is not in place. And
This seems like it's about 6 feet shorter. I'm going to start a war about it.
So the Belgian farmer apparently. I already said that. So the stone dates back to 1819 when the border was first marked out. And the guy says this. The Belgian mayor said this. He says, "I was happy my town was bigger," but the mayor of the I do not know how to pronounce any of those French words. How do you say that, Chris?
The Boujani Surok. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't read
Rolling.
French. My wife would know.
Rolling
Yeah, so they didn't agree. So what happens is the local Belgian authorities plan to contact the farmer and ask him to return the stone to its original location. And they said this, and this is what's a kicker here. Is they said that if that did not happen, if it doesn't happen, the case could end up in the Belgian Foreign Ministry, which could have had to summon a Franco-Belgian border commission, and basically could have started a war or at least a huge conflict,
At least the discussion.
at least a very heated discussion. And so.
So my concern is this farmer. Like, is he gonna have to put the boulder back in his tractor's path?
I guess.
Like, what happens with his land? Is he technically a Belgian and a French citizen?
Well, see, what I want to know is if it was in the way, was he like going over land that was technically belonging to France?
Does he have to file taxes in both countries? That's my question.
Can he
That's
be deported?
That's a very adult question of you there.
Can he be deported to his own property?
Yeah, like if they're like, oh,
Out
we're
of
gonna
his
deport you back to
property.
France,
Right.
does he just like walk to the other side of his land?
See, say, fine, you caught me. You got to go through customs to mow my lawn.
Oh man,
That would suck.
it would.
Like anything to declare, yeah, all of these clippings that are currently attached to my tractor.
I can just leave them. I'll put them in that guy's
If you guys
yard.
want to take them, please do.
All right, Chris, what you got for us, bro?
All right, man. So check this out. A woman was excluded from team lunches for a really long time, and she sued her place of business for $32,000
Holy crap!
for discrimination and won.
Wow.
Yeah, so this Ford dealership in the UK is where she worked, called Hartwell Ford.
Okay.
It's a franchise dealership network that works in England. She had been the receptionist. Her name was Malgorzata Lewicka.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
It's a weird name. I haven't heard it, but I mean, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pasta.
Right? Sounds delicious, is what it is. But she had been working there for 2 years in 2018. She transferred to the dealership's Watford branch, which I guess is just a different town in England. I don't know. Following her complaint, she told the judge that she was excluded from team lunches that were held there on the last Friday of each month. All of her colleagues got to go to this office lunch thing. They provided pizza and other takeout, and she just was not invited, like at all.
Jeez.
So she had been previously included with the team lunches at the other place, but not at the new one that she had transferred to, I guess. So when it finally ended up suing, since Ford has like a zero discrimination policy for all of their dealerships, she won $32,000 for lost wages and emotional trauma.
Wow.
I bet she's
All
not
right.
working there anymore.
I guarantee you she's not, but $32,000 is a real nice severance package.
It sure is.
It's not the worst. Not the best.
I wish that would have been my severance package when I left my dealership. That would have been real nice.
Man. All right. Well, congratulations to her.
Let's go.
Cool. All right, bro. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, welcome to our Society Corner.
What?
Joe Biden calls love for K-pop universal. That's right.
Yes.
Joe Biden, the expert on Korean pop. U.S. President Joe Biden, or Joseph S. Biden, or whatever his middle name is, had a lot to talk about Friday at the
I
White
like to
House.
imagine it's Joseph. Joseph Biden.
J. Jonah Bidenson. So J. Joe Bidenson had a lot to talk about Friday at the White House in his second in-person meeting with a foreign leader. This time it was with the South Korean president, Moon Jae-in. So they talked about a bunch of different things. They talked about the situation in North Korea, the denuclearization of the peninsula, collaborating on vaccinations to prevent the spread of COVID-19, climate change, and the need to continue to fortify alliances to potentially counter Beijing. And then another thing came up, K-pop.
Of course.
Biden said,
yeah.
This is a legit quote. Standing in front of like Korean and American flags, this is what Biden says: our people to people and cultural connections are only growing. K-pop fans are universal. and that's about it. So,
You know, I wouldn't consider myself a K-pop fan, but I've never not heard a K-pop song that wasn't a straight bop.
Yo, straight up.
Yeah.
So
Granted.
Biden's right. I agree. Well, and it came
Yeah.
the same day that obviously everybody's heard of BTS. If you haven't heard of K-pop, it's like the only band that you could hear of or whatever. But they dropped an English language single that same day that had 97 million views
In a day.
in a day. So I'm going to just make an assumption and say he's right.
He probably listened to it on the way as part of his briefing.
You know,
Can you imagine Biden on the way with the new Ford F-150 Lightning and him just go with the K-pop in that?
straight up. But like Chris is right. Every single song's a bop. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we went to a Korean place here in Midland called Crisp Garden. If you're ever in Midland, Texas, first of all, why? Second of all, go to this Korean place.
For the desert, Aaron, you know this.
Rock the Desert is here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I went one time. It was,
You know
it
how
was
I
a
know
pretty
you
cool
went
show.
one time? You called me from it.
Yeah.
Listen, I have such a great memory of when Chris and I have talked. Me and Chris have talked like 3 times since I've left Colleen. One time when I came back the next summer to go to camp with him. One time, I don't know why, but he called me at Rock the Desert. And one time I called him, and it was the night of the Super Bowl, and he was working at Disney.
I remember that.
Yeah, so like
I
I don't
do remember that.
Those are the only times I remember talking to Chris on the phone in about
And
8 years.
Truthfully, though, that's
18
probably
years.
more than I've talked to the people that live in the same town that I do, that I went to high school with.
Dude, yeah, I
Very
talked to a
true.
few of my friends, but like straight up, I'm so distant. I know we're getting way off the topic at hand, but like I am the worst at keeping up with people. But if for whatever reason you knew me 18 years ago and wanted to come get some Korean food, this Korean place I had yesterday only plays K-pop, and it's
Okay.
amazing. So you're
Was
getting
the food good?
food's delicious.
All right.
It's straight up, yeah. And they didn't have Kegogi. If you know what that is, then it's a good thing.
Were they actual like Korean restaurant owners? Or?
Yeah, straight
Okay.
up. Like
Yeah.
they were all
Sounds
Korean.
good. Sounds good.
I'm down.
Yeah, it was like
Let's go to
authentic
Midland.
and everything. Yeah.
Next
so
time
come.
we go to Midland.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
Just remember,
Hey,
Joe Biden loves K-pop.
that's right. If there's one takeaway from this conversation today, it's that he loves the new Ford F-150 electric vehicle truck, and he also loves K-pop.
And ignore
That-
everything we'll say after this because
Right.
that's the most important.
That's the takeaway from today's pod.
Oh, man. All right, guys. That was a great first half of this. And next up, we have a wonderful conversation with the one and only Aaron Flynn about foster care and foster parenting. So we'll be right back.
And we are back.
Yes.
Welcome back with us, guys. Hey, so real quick, we're going to ask Aaron a few questions, get this topic rolling. As we discussed, we're going to be talking about foster parenting, being a foster parent, what that entails, and what it means to Aaron. But first, today is the day after
That's right.
our beloved friend's birthday.
Yeah.
We had a big thing for it, but
We
he
did.
kind of ruined it. He beat us to it with his existential crisis.
No big deal. Fine.
Um,
Whatever.
so
like
if you
that.
guys have ever been through an existential crisis, you understand that's the reason he's wearing 2 hats right now.
Yes.
I
That's
wear
what you get.
multiple hats.
He's the king of many hats. So happy birthday, Aaron. Glad you made it 30 years in life. And
Thank
we'll
you.
hope for at least another 30 as long as they're happy.
Amen.
Moving right
Maybe
along.
let it-
maybe
let it
40,
be.
maybe 50.
I said at least
At
30.
least.
You may get to 60 and realize you don't want to be here anymore.
And we'll be here to support you in that.
Mm.
Chris
We'll,
owns-
we'll help you with your other existential crisis.
Wait, what?
All right, man. Well, as we've already talked about, Aaron is a lifelong friend of ours. He studied at the same college I did, West Coast Bible College and Seminary.
Let's go.
He went through the same master's commission, well, not the same exact one, but master's commission. It's a big international actually group for discipleship and learning how to be a pastor, minister, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we kind of had the same educational upbringing. He is now a pastor, youth pastor in Midland at First AG in Midland. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I work at Midland First Assembly here in Midland. I started working here October before the pandemic, so it's about a year and a half now, coming up on 2
Cool.
years. But I've been in ministry realistically 11 years now.
Nice.
Just different
Many moons.
churches, different types of ministry. I've done youth ministry. I've worked at a daycare. I've done elementary ministry. I've worked in Texas. I've worked in Portland, and I've worked in Texas a whole bunch more. So, yeah, but I enjoy it. Realistically, my heart for ministry kind of came from when I first met you guys. When we were at GC Crew with Pastor Daryl, or as everyone would call him, P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
Nothing like a middle-aged white guy calling himself P. Diddy. It is
Oh, I gotta send this to him.
so funny and like the greatest thing. But realistically, like I distinctly remember showing up, not really caring about church, because when I was younger than 7th grade, like I didn't care about church. Our church didn't have a lot for me. And then the first Wednesday night, big youth group, 300 plus people. I don't know how many it was exactly.
Yeah.
He comes down and just introduces himself, and he says he's glad I'm here, and the fact that he picked me out of a crowd of like 300 just to say like welcome and thank you for being here made me feel important in a time where I felt unimportant, alone, and like definitely without friends because I just moved to a new city, and that stuck with me forever basically. So even when I was in high school, I wasn't like the coolest guy in high school. I would find a middle school student that's just super awkward or something, and I'd just try to be a friend to them. And so my first job in ministry was junior high pastor. Nice. And nothing's more like awkward and uncomfortable than your middle school years.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so I definitely tried to make people feel like they were loved and they were important, and that I took them seriously. And I've seen some awesome stuff. I've done a couple weddings, or I've done one wedding. I say a couple. One of my junior hires wants me to do their wedding. I should clarify that. So I've done a wedding, but like, I've definitely feel like I've impacted some people. And right now, the students I work with, are wonderful. They're awesome. We have like some of the most like biggest hearted students that I could ask for. Our youth group's called the Voice Student Ministry, where I make sure that their voice matters. I make sure that they know that. And I do different things. I get my leaders to speak. When I spoke on a Sunday morning, I invited one of my middle schoolers to share a little bit so that he could have that experience and understand that like I take him seriously as well. And I've seen good fruit from that. And so it's been really, really good. Year and a half in Midland doing stuff through COVID has been difficult. Definitely stretches you, especially coming from Portland to Midland has been like a culture shift completely because
I can imagine.
Yeah, because like San Antonio is definitely a more conservative area, and you can do ministry like normal, but Midland's super conservative, and then coming from a super liberal place is definitely a flip. In just cultures. And so I think it's been really good for the church to have me in that different perspective, and then for me to kind of learn some things from this kind of old school traditional vibe. And so it's been good.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. I know there's a lot more, but
that's great. No. So that really kind of brings us into the topic, though, just speaking about your heart for kids and youth, making sure everybody's voice is heard, making sure that kids know that they're loved and they're appreciated. That brings us into your I guess your passion for fostering.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your family, as much as you can, because there's always some restrictions for that. Tell us a little bit about your family, your passions, some of your favorite stuff, their favorite stuff. What's going on?
Yeah. So, well, like me and my wife have been married, about to be 6 years in July. Nice. God, I hope that's right. Yes, that is right. Let's go. I had to do the math in my head.
I'll edit it out if that's wrong.
But yeah, we're about to be married for 6 years. And basically, since we've been like married, we've wanted to kind of start a family, but we really haven't had a chance to. She went home last February to be with her family for like a week for her birthday. Her birthday's Valentine's Day. Talk about the worst possible birthday. Yeah. I mean, best possible birthday. She's not here, so it's okay. But yeah, so we went back home to be with her family, or she went back home to be with her family. And I kind of had this dream. I don't know why, of like, I had a dream of like, what if we tried to adopt? And then I went the next day on, don't do this. I went the next day on like the CPS website and just had like a straight up anxiety attack. Because a lot of the people on the CPS website that they're featuring, you definitely can, like, you can tell there's hurts, but there's a lot of special needs individuals.
Yeah.
And my thought process was, if I want to adopt someone, is it going to be someone special needs? And I know that sounds bad. I grew up with my sister who was special needs, and knowing her situations and like how many surgeries she's gone through and all this, I don't think emotionally I could handle that. Like for a child of my own, I know that definitely there's a need for that kind of thing. So I had like a little bit of stress, but then we talked to a couple of friends of ours that fostered as well, which if anybody is interested in fostering and wants to know more about it, these people were amazing for me. I can be that person for you if you have questions. And they just tried to clear the air and tell their story more in depth. So I did that. I called Chelsea and was stressed, and she was like, we'll talk about it when we get home. And then the next day, a bunch of pastors from Midland and Odessa got together and had like a monthly meeting that like Assemblies of God pastors have. And a guy was talking about how he's leaving to go to Dallas to do something for foster care. And he explained if every church in Texas had one family that did foster care, like fostered one child, there would be no more children in the foster care system in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, straight up insane. And like insane to think about. And so we talked about it, and Chelsea and I just came to the decision that we're going to try this out. We're going to hope to adopt, but we learned along the way that the goal of fostering is first and foremost to reunify them with their family.
Yeah. Which a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah. And so, but that was definitely tough for us as well, because we want to raise them as our own.
And you love them as your own.
Yeah. And so our mentality is kind of shifted from wanting to adopt, which we definitely do want to adopt if the opportunity's there, to praying the mom or dad gets their life together, praying they get their crap together, honestly.
Yeah.
Praying for a miracle, praying for something, because we have their best interest in mind. We have the kids' best interest in mind.
Right.
So, so far we have fostered technically 3 children. The first one was a little boy, and we had him for 5 months. We got him at 2 days old. We've had him for 5 months. We were really hoping to adopt him. He got moved to a family friend of his mom's, who is now adopting him, but she's treating us like family. She's sending pictures.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it feels good. It's definitely something difficult to reconcile, because you feel like you've raised that child, but now it's not yours and you're getting pictures. And so it's definitely tough.
Right.
And then in that time, while we had the little boy, we had another little girl whose goal was adoption. But when I would walk in the room, she had trauma with men. We learned she would scream bloody murder. And so that wasn't going to be a situation that could work out at all. And in that time, the little boy that we had to go to the hospital for something. And it was, you try to keep a mom away from the hospital, honestly. I'm sure your wives would agree. Like, they'd be the ones right there. They didn't. Yeah. So she moved on. She's with a good family. As far as I know, she's still with them and adopted and healthy. But we lost our boy on a Monday and got our girl on a Friday. She was 5 days old, so she was born the day our boy was moved. She was 4 pounds. Yeah. She just her mom had some drug issues and stuff like that, but we love her to death, and we're raising her, and she's healthy, and she's smiling, and she's really getting a personality. But realistically, we just wanted to be parents, and so we get the opportunity to. And fostering has given us that ability.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, before we move on, I just want to double clarify, just make sure it's okay that we can include genders.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
boy and girl. I didn't use names specifically.
Okay. I just want to make sure, just so I'm good on my end, make sure I cut everything out that needs to be cut out. So.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm definitely trying to check my stories, so I'm making sure because since you're bringing that up now, I mean, you could include this with fostering. There's different. So the state kind of has like a mandate, like that this is a baseline unless the county says otherwise, that you're not supposed to share like names on social media or like pictures.
Right.
So our first one at the end, we were allowed to share pictures of him on social media, as long as we didn't identify him as our foster child. But our current placement, where they didn't tell us we could, so we just assume we can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to, I'd say his name on the podcast, but I'm just not going to do that just because. But yeah. So it's been good, but really, and this is like a biblical perspective, I didn't even mention this. It's kind of interesting that James, Jesus's brother, is the only chapter in the Bible, especially the New Testament, where it says take care of widows and orphans, because that's what Jesus did when Joseph passed away.
Oh.
If you ever dug into that, because if you like dig into the genealogy and stuff, like why is it that it goes from Jesus at like 12 years old to like 30 years old?
Yeah.
It's because, but in that time it says he grew in favor with man and with God, because he was taking care of his brothers and sisters when Joseph passed away, because he was the oldest son. So he grew in favor with man because he didn't abandon his family like you're supposed to as the oldest son.
Yeah.
And he grew in favor with God because he was on a human level, understanding emotions and feelings and what it's like to be humans. And so God recognized that and saw that, so that when Jesus was on earth, he was seeing, and when someone came to him with a problem, he didn't just live this life of luxury. He was in the slums of it, so he could relate better.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. Sorry.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great perspective.
It's a cool perspective. It's like, okay, James told us to do this because he saw Jesus do it.
Yeah.
It's a good insight into Jesus's life.
That's good stuff, man.
I like that.
So I want to ask you, man, I don't know if this is more lighthearted or not, but what is like one common or a few common myths or stigmas about fostering that you maybe would want to debunk? Like maybe assumptions that people have about foster care and the foster parenting and all that. And, what are some things that you kind of think of, that's definitely wrong, or you find it completely opposite in your experience?
I guess one would be that like foster parents are the bad guys. I know that's easy for me to say coming from a foster parent. There are bad foster parents that do it for the paycheck, because you do get paid monthly per child. But like not every situation's like that. People I've met are just people that want to show love to people. So that's one thing. Another, man, that's a good question, because my wife would probably be like, oh yeah, I got like 6 things. Yeah, like I guess that's probably the one I would go with. If I wish I would have probably thought about this a little bit more, but I guess you could include like if you want to be a foster parent and you're a single person, you can be a foster parent.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't have to be married, you don't have to be like together,
married with 2 kids and a picket fence. You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to be like the traditional family to be a foster parent. All you have to do is be able to pass a home study realistically. You have to go through trainings, a lot of trainings that are very repetitive, and they're not like any bit entertaining, but like you have to go through them.
Right.
There's some stuff like trauma-informed care training is really interesting because it helps you definitely learn different kinds of things of like how to react to like different situations, or how to respond, because there's a difference between react and respond, stuff like that, like minute little things. I guess another one that's interesting is you're not allowed to spank the child. That's like a very big no. So if you're ever going in for
I would imagine so.
I'm glad that's a thing.
Yeah, I agree, but like we're in Texas where like
everybody's like, no, I'm gonna spank my kid.
I got spanked. Like But I turned out fine. But when a kid definitely, first of all, they teach you, like physical punishment isn't going to teach them anything other than like pain hurts. You know, it's
Right.
not gonna be healthy. But a lot of these kids deal with like emotional and physical trauma.
Yeah, right.
So why are you going to punish them with a physical trauma?
Yeah,
That
why
is a
would you do
trigger
that
for
to
what
them?
they've gone through. Yeah.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I definitely understand. Like I know a friend of mine, like he's a foster parent and but he comes from a Hispanic background, and he was like, it's definitely different because Hispanics tend to just get a switch, is what he said.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I can guarantee that. Yes.
Yeah. But so it's just understanding that you're not the parent. You're a foster parent. You are a parent, but you don't get to make the parenting decisions like it's your own kid.
Right.
The government does, and they have strict rules because realistically, you're just the caregiver for them.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I guess the last one that I'll say is kind of on that, what I touched on. Foster parents are parents. They're not just temporary placeholders. You can't expect someone with a heart that's doing it for the right reasons. I guess I should clarify. You can't expect them to take care of a child for an extended period of time and not feel attachment and feel love for that child.
Yeah.
And you would want the parent to have that attachment to the child, and you would want the child to as well, because imagine 6 months where you're a child and you are without your parent. Like, I'm just using 6 months as an example, where you're without your parent, but you love your parent and you're confused, and just think about it from their perspective. An 8-year-old not knowing why they're going to live with somebody else that they've never met before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that even just, to me, kind of mirrors back what you were talking about earlier with the Book of James, and that perspective of just with foster parenting. It really is, to me, kind of the most almost genuine, authentic love that you can have, because it really kind of roots back down to that agape love of loving someone who even you don't have blood connection to, but still having that same agape love for them and loving them unconditionally.
Unconditionally.
And so, man, that's good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Next question, man.
Okay, so this one's kind of in that same vein. What is one thing that you wish you had known when you first began fostering?
How hard it would be. Truthfully. I mean, I wish I would know from the moment they call you, like in a year from now, like he or she will be your not foster child, but your adopted child. Because I don't miss any of the time. Like, I don't regret any of the time I spent with our little boy. But it's been 4 months now, just over 4.5 months. And like, I get a picture and I can't help but stop and cry because like I miss him.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely like an attachment. If I could get a phone call right now, pick up and say, hey, in a year, you're going to be able to adopt. Like, this is A to B to C to D. And like B isn't going to be like, turns out that they like are a 3-month-old baby that likes to stab people. Like, that's, like it'd just be like, I wish it would be easy, but it's going to be, but if your goal is to one day adopt, it's going to be difficult because you don't know until you are in court signing the papers and like, you can't adopt until you've been, until the child's been with you for 6 months minimum.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and then there's all kinds of other steps to go through.
Yeah, and you are the last in the line. Once the mom or dad's right have been terminated, they look at friends, they look at families. If the dad isn't in the picture, they give them multiple chances. They put them on a registry that they have to be on for a certain amount of time to basically say like, hey, do you think, basically, have you slept with this woman in this amount, like around this time? You may be a father of a child.
Oh, wow.
And once that time's expired, right, they're just saying abandoned father, basically.
Wow.
And
so
then
they go into depths to find.
Yeah, because they want, ultimately the goal is to get them with either mom and dad or a family member, someone that is that is there, that is not taking them completely away from their relatives or their home. And if that doesn't work out.
Well, that makes sense, because even my sister is adopted. I won't go into all of her story, but she grew up in a loving home. My parents are amazing, and they loved her, and I think she would agree with that she feels loved and felt loved and all that. But even then, there's still, even with a loving family that raises you, there is that complexity of, I have another family somewhere, and there's a whole bunch of questions that usually comes up with that. So I understand that that's the first goal, is to try to get them back somewhere in a family, and and that's definitely a catch-22, or just a thing to consider, because it's such a, I can imagine it's such a connection that you have with that child. It really does feel like it's your own, and then but you want what's best for that child later on in the long run, and so So I guess I might have just answered the question for you, but we had a guest question for this. Terry Saffron, your father-in-law,
good dude.
He's a cool guy. He asked, "What is your biggest challenge as a foster parent?"
I guess it goes back to that last answer, honestly, just not knowing.
Yeah.
Not having a solid answer for really any of your questions.
Yeah.
Realistically, when we lost our first one, it was a phone call on a Friday, and then they got him on Monday.
Wow.
It can happen that fast. It could, but just not knowing what the situation is. You bringing people in. Like I said, we had one, and she had trauma with men. They didn't know that. So there's definitely a level of uncertainty when it comes to fostering, but that's probably the biggest challenge, is just there's uncertainty and you don't have all the answers, but you just have to remember you're doing it for the child's best interest.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
All right, so here's another question for you, man. So what are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way? Whether it's people, whether it's books, podcasts, what are some things that have at least helped you, understanding, and also just, really just emotionally and spiritually kind of going through a lot of this?
I guess best resources is just having a good support structure. I'll give a special shout out to my friends Ruben and Elena Vasquez. They're in Houston. They fostered, adopted, have been just encouraging people to us. Shane and Dejan Russell in Lubbock. They've also been great people. I know them from Master's Commission, actually. And so they've been really good people and good resources, but also our church family has come alongside us. Our little girl, everybody's her aunt or uncle in youth group. Everyone holds her. Awesome. It's really, really great when you have just a bunch of students that love them to death and want to do whatever they can to just make sure that things are going well. So another really good resource is check, if you do become foster parents, check with your foster care agency and see if they have different nonprofits that help with fostering, or foster families, or placement families, or trying to think of what it's called when it's a family placement. That's just going to slip my mind. I love it. But we in Midland, I just did a jersey design for them. That's kind of my side hustle, is I do jersey designs.
Yeah, I love it.
We did.
Are you wearing one right now?
I am wearing one that I designed. Yes.
Hey.
Very nice.
But they, I did a jersey design for a group called the Attic Foster Network, and what they do is they provide families with clothing for kids or babies. They provide cribs or strollers or rockers, especially because if you do receive a placement and you have a normal rocker, they have rockers that actually are meant specifically for drug babies. So
wow.
But they basically they just give them to you for free for a period of time, and then you bring them back so that the next family can use them. And so the
That's
Attic
awesome.
Foster Network in Midland, look it up. But talk to your local foster care agency, and I'm sure that there's good resources for that. And then parenting podcasts, I'd recommend. This isn't necessarily a foster care one, but Dad Tired. It's a good one.
Oh, that's the one you told me about a while back. See, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's definitely from a Christian guy, talking about just raising your kids right. And there's some really good stuff on it. And I've liked it because I went from one day not having a kid and my wife not being pregnant to the next day having a baby in my house.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I know what that's like. Trust me.
yeah. Yeah, so just trying to like prepare myself to be the best father I can be. It's been a really good resource. But yeah, check with your foster care agency, talk with people. That's my main recommendations with that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess our next question then is, what do you wish that you could see or hear more of in conversations about foster care? Like, what do you hope more people are talking about?
I guess normalizing it.
Mhm.
Like letting it not be weird. Because that definitely is like something that comes off. Like I have a friend that fosters and they foster and they're a white family that has black babies and they're like, oh, why are your kids black? And if like just understand,
my God, you can't just ask someone why they're black.
But if you can like understand and recognize like I'm not gonna like that's definitely an odd pairing, obviously, but there's a reason for it. It's the kids aren't running away and freaking out, so clearly like they're not kidnapped. So
Right.
just normalize the fact that it happens and don't bring up the trauma and making them have to explain 50 times a day why.
Wow.
And so, and also just like normalize and understand that there are boundaries when it comes to fostering. So like just understanding there's things that you can't do and don't try to be like, well, that's stupid. So like the spanking thing I talked about, we've always heard like, well, that's stupid. Like my parents told me that's stupid. I used to spank you and you turned out great. You're a youth pastor. And I'm like, yeah, but like it's way different, obviously.
Right.
So if you encounter a family that is fostering, and they explain different rules to you, don't just make fun of them. Understand that the foster parents aren't the ones that created those rules for the most part, depending on like if anybody creates crazy rules, but like, you know what I mean?
And those rules are there for a reason.
Yeah. There's a reason for the rules, and just understand and respect that your kid is different than these. And like, I'm sure your kid turns out fine since you beat them, but like, I think that's the exact words my parents used. Was like, we used to beat you, and I was like, thanks, Dad.
Could you say that one more time, just for clarity's sake?
For posterity, for the court.
Last time I got a spanking, my dad was stationed overseas, and my mom tried to spank us, and we laughed at her, and we never got a spanking afterwards. So, kids, if you're listening to this, laugh at your parents.
Don't do that. I think if I had laughed at my parents, my dad would have come from overseas, belt in hand.
No, my dad laughed about the fact that we laughed at him. It's just a running joke.
All right, Aaron. Well, since our time is running out, man, I just had one more question for you before you chopped out. And it's just a simple wrap up, man. But is there a place where our listeners can find out more information or to possibly donate that you would recommend, places that they can go to find out just more things about foster care and if they're potentially interested in fostering?
If they're interested in fostering, if you're a religious person, ask your local church. A lot of local churches, I know Houston has a few that I've seen post on their like pages and stuff, but they host foster Q&As. And you can either do those. A lot of CPS agencies are doing them through Zoom as well, so super convenient. But if you can sit through one of those, there's no obligation that like at the end of this you're gonna have like you will have to foster. They just want to answer your questions. So I'd encourage you to reach out to your local CPS office and just see if there's a general meeting that'll like introduce you to fostering and what it means to foster. They're going to try to convince you to foster. I promise you that.
I would imagine so. That's probably their whole goal.
That's their whole goal. But if you're interested in learning about it, like let the people that experience and walk with these children through all these problems and like through house to house and all these different situations, go with them, you know, like not go with them, but like listen to what they have to say and go to these meetings. And so I'd recommend that if you want to donate to a place. You can probably check out the Addict Fostering Network, but I'd encourage you more to like look at your local. So if you're in Killeen, look at your local ones. I actually wish I would have thought about this conversation beforehand, because my wife's aunt is on the City Chamber of Commerce in Killeen, and I could have asked her about if she knew of any organizations for Killeen. But yeah, like talk to your local agencies and see if they have a nonprofit that could use your money. Yeah.
I'm sure that is a real quick Google search.
Yeah.
Away.
Yeah. Straight up. Like it's super easy.
How to donate to foster care in Killeen.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's good agencies. I'd also just talk to but I would recommend, because you never know how legit some of those places are that pop up on Google.
Right.
I'd see who the agents would recommend before I'd donate.
So like find one that's like .gov.
Well, what we can do too is we'll talk to you after this, and we'll get some links for put on our show notes, so that way we can find some good legit places that you would trust, and that we can give to our listeners. So
tips on how to find a good one.
Yeah.
Real talk. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Man, I think that's all we got.
Yeah. I think that's about it. So as far as fostering goes, Aaron is himself a foster parent. Tim grew up with a adopted sister. I have not been through the system myself, but I take care of my nephew. So we've all kind of got like a different perspective on this. So it was really cool to get Aaron's perspective, like actually going through the system as a foster parent.
Yeah. And I can tell you, like, trainings definitely do take a lot of time, but they do their research.
It's good training, though, because it's a lot more than they make you do when you're becoming a parent yourself.
Yeah.
Basically, they were just like, "Do you have a car seat? Okay, you're a dad now." And they handed me my baby, and I was like, "Oh."
Did you have to go through a training too, Chris?
For my daughter, no. For my nephew, we didn't legally have to, but it was suggested to us by lawyers. Yeah.
So did you do a home study as well?
No, we didn't have to do that.
Okay.
It's basically like local apprentice. Just my brother is still technically in the picture, so my nephew just lives with us. We have power of attorneys and stuff.
Man. Okay, yeah, home study I think is for specific. So like the last thing you have to do is like a home study, and they interview you, ask you in-depth questions. They even, with my friend Ruben, said they sat down with like their elementary age child and asked questions like, how did they punish you and stuff like that to make sure that like you're legit, because kids will be brutally honest.
Yeah, 100%.
And so they asked all kinds of questions, and then they accepted them, obviously.
Right.
I freaked out at that point, because I was like, what if they don't pass me? And he just told me, he's like, if they don't want pastors to like foster, who do they want,
Yeah,
I was like, okay, yeah, good point.
You bring up an excellent point.
Well, Aaron, dude, thank you so much for your time, and dude, thanks for just being a good friend and for being someone who we love and care about, and thank you for doing what you do. And dude, it was such an honor, and man, we're just grateful to have you on the episode and have you as a friend. So love you, man.
I love you guys. We'll have to like catch up, and when it's not being recorded, so we can talk
that
about...
way we can say other things.
All right, man. Well, thanks again, dude.
All right, man.
And I guess that's the end of this thing.
All right.
All
so
right,
we'll head to break, and then we'll catch you later, Aaron.
All right. Bye, guys.
See you, man.
Bye, man. All right, guys, we are back.
We're back.
Due to time constraints, Aaron had to leave, but we're super appreciative of him being here with us, giving us his time, giving us his point of view.
Yeah.
It was such a great opportunity to get to see our friend, even if it's
good.
just on Zoom.
Yeah.
But, we had a blast doing that. So thank you, Aaron, for being there. Thank you guys for listening to our friend.
Yeah. And don't forget, guys, we'll probably say this later too, but just to double remind you, check out the show notes to see all the information that he talked to us about, all the links to to donate. Also check out if you're interested in foster parenting, because we really just want to encourage at least the conversations to have about it, at least to encourage, hey, let's not stigmatize this anymore, and let's have good, positive conversations about it.
And we record this stuff a couple of days before we post it, so I have plenty of time to make sure all the links are right. We'll make sure you guys have the correct information to be able to support the system.
Yep. All right. So, and also while you're here, don't forget to subscribe, to rate us, to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or whatever you're listening or watching this on. We love it when you kind of just give us a little shout out and, we're not making a living off of this, but we also want to upgrade the things that we have and just do a little bit better for the podcast, so that way we can have a better show for you. And so be sure to subscribe, rate, follow, like, all those good positive things,
We're an
please.
independent podcast for the most part, so that helps us out.
Yeah.
Speaking of, though, we actually had a pretty cool donation from a dear friend of ours. It's actually what we refer to as my daughter's Fae godmother, Raven Hoven.
Hey.
She is the wife of our technician at work, so we work with her husband. She's a faithful listener to the podcast. She decided to donate some money to us, and we are super appreciative of that.
Yes.
So thank you, Raven. We love you. Much appreciated.
Round of applause. Thank you so much. You're the best.
Big heart.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And then now it is time for our next segment, because we always have to have this segment, and that is Ask Chris and Tim. And so we have some listener questions. If you'd like to ask us some questions, please reach out to us on social media or anywhere else. Email us and ask us some questions that you want us to answer here on the show. So let's get this first one started. First person, Shelby, asked, if y'all were Wreck-It Ralph start that over. If y'all were in the Wreck-It Ralph universe, which arcade game would y'all be in, and what character? That's a hard question, because in the second
Not
one,
for me.
in the second one, it opens up to the internet, so it's anything and everything.
Yeah, but she just means like in the arcade. Like if you lived in the arcade, which game would you be in? I think
So only in this one
only
movie.
in just stick to Wreck-It Ralph 1, not Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Fair enough.
I think for me, I would, if I didn't have to be in a game, I would definitely be in the audience of like most of the games. Like I would just go from audience to audience, watching the different sporting events, the different races, the different fights, all that type of stuff.
Okay.
If I had to be in a game, like stick to just one, I would probably want to be in Tap Tap, so I could just hang out at the bar. No risk to my life.
You stole my answer. No way.
There you go. Look, no risk to my life whatsoever. I can just walk in, I buy a drink, and I leave. That's it.
A good one.
And as a supporting character of Tap Tap, I don't have to earn money. I'm not the bartender.
That's right.
So I can just walk in, and there's money already in my pocket for my drink. I drink it, I leave. Then I come back when I want another one. That easy.
That's a good one. Man, now I have to come up with another one. I would probably go into the not Candy Crush. What is the game called? The go-kart.
The racing one?
Yeah, what is it called?
Sugar Rush.
Sugar Rush. Yeah. I'd probably just be one of the characters doing a go-kart. I mean, it's fun, you know.
Well, I'm diabetic, so I couldn't do that.
Oh.
It would literally kill me.
Oh.
But then again, if it were my game, I could come back. So
That's right. Is that blissful then? Or is that, I mean,
it's definitely a painful death. I don't know if you've ever had diabetic ketoacidosis.
I have not.
It sucks. But, might be worth it.
All right, next question.
Next question that comes from Andrew.
Let's move on.
Andrew asks, do you think security guards at certain facilities or places should be armed?
So this is okay. This is my fault, guys. I keep forgetting to ask y'all these questions about the main topics before we record.
Yeah.
Or at least with enough good time beforehand. And so when Andrew asked this, it was for the guns episode. So, but we're gonna answer it now, because we are truthful to our word, and we will answer your questions. So,
yeah.
Do you think security guards at certain facilities or places should be armed? It depends on the place. I mean, mostly, and it also depends. It kind of there's so many variables to this. It's not black or white. I think it really does depend on the location, and I think the security guards should be definitely trained in different ways, and have the qualifications.
I think, much like the police, there is a time and a place for a security guard to be armed, but not every place that has armed security needs armed security.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't need to be lethally armed security.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, like, banks nowadays don't really have like this huge vault of cash that, bank robbing movies show.
Right.
People aren't showing up to rob banks like that too much anymore, I guess. So maybe like half of the banks that are armed should be armed, and the ones that aren't, they're the lower end banks. Like,
right. Yeah, and it's just one of just like that episode. There's it's not an easy conversation. There's no easy answer. There's no like universal like, yes, every single security guard in the United States should be armed. It's just so many variables to apply it to. So I mean, obviously, what we talked about is we care about good training and good like limits, and so that's one variable. But just I don't know, really just just depends on the place and when. So yes and no, Andrew.
I think mostly no, but also yes.
Yeah.
All right, next question, Tim.
Please let's move on.
Question from one of my favorite people to ask questions.
Harley asked, "What is your dream place to live?" I probably have two answers to this. So Jessica and I seriously have considered this. Is moving to Italy or Ireland?
You're not allowed. It's too far. You're not allowed.
I have Italian heritage, and plus we just love we want to go on vacation there soon, and so we've been checking it out, and the more we looked at it, we're like, not a bad place to check out and possibly live. So who knows, one day we might do that. Ireland will be easier because the barrier English, the language barrier is not as difficult. But
I mean, Irish English is a different thing.
it's different, but at least you can try to
almost another language in and of itself.
You could figure out what someone's trying to say though
with context clues. Yeah, kind of, I guess. For me, so I also have two answers to this. One would be Australia, just because I think it's such a cool place.
That's good.
Obviously, the deadly animals are a big deterrent. But I've got friends and family in Australia, and I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the place that I would probably consider my number one, which would be the easiest for me to get to, would be Roatan, Honduras.
Yeah.
It's where my family's from. My dad lives there now, and it is just such a beautiful island, very tropical. Like you picture tropical paradise, it's Roatan.
Yeah.
They have all kinds of really cool animals. It's like a really huge tourist stop for cruise ships and things like that. It's kind of self-sustainable. Like you can live there on your own, no questions asked, off the grid, you'd be all right. It's a pretty cool place.
I dig. There we go. Well, guys, thank you for your listener questions. If you want to ask us more, please go on social media or email us any questions. It could be on topic. It could be totally off the wall. We will answer anything that you send out to us. So let's move on.
All right. So our next topic is one of my favorite segments. It is, I don't know who needed to hear this, but...
Pay attention to the smell of your home when you come back from a trip. That's what it smells like to guests. You just don't realize it because you're used to it.
That makes sense.
It's like body odor. Is you don't know really what your body odor smells like because you're around it so much unless you're like really ranking. But it's the same thing with your house. It's like you're accustomed to it, and so next time you're on a trip and you come back and you smell something odd, take note. That's probably how it usually smells. And
unless it's like while you were gone, your cat peed everywhere, then hopefully that's not what your guests smell.
True.
Speaking of smells, I'm actually just going to go over Aaron's. So since he had to leave, he left us with his...
Yeah, we're stealing it.
He left us with his little bit. He says that there is no acceptable time to smell your hands in public without it looking suspicious.
That's gold.
And that's absolutely true. You will never go anywhere and see some random person smelling their hand and think, oh, that's a normal interaction.
Yeah.
You're always like, what is that guy doing?
Why? That's the bigger. It's like,
what did he touch?
Yeah.
Like if you see someone smelling their hand and then they reach out to shake yours, you're not going to want to touch it.
Oh, that's... Nah, I'm good.
It's gross. Oh, man. That was a good one, Aaron.
All
right. And then mine. I don't know who needed to hear this, but there is no legal limit to free samples. You can have as many as you want. They're free. Take as many samples as you want. I've actually known growing up some people that they would make a day out of it. Saturday, they'd go to Sam's Club or Costco or whatever it was, and they would just pick up free samples for a meal.
Yeah.
Like you go to one section, get some little meat samples. You go to the other, you try the bread. You go to the sushi area, you try some sushi, chips, snacks, whatever they've got, their little beverages or juices.
Yeah.
Free samples all day long, baby. No limit.
Yes. It reminds me of the episode from Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson's at this this vegan health store. And he's like, "Hello, sir. Would you like this vegan bacon?"
Thank you. And he just throws it right into the trash. Please, may I have another?
Okay, here.
Thank you. Trash. Please, may I have another?
I don't think I can give you any more. That's
good times.
Guys. That's it. That's our episode for today.
That's
Dude,
what we've got for you.
That was a good one, man.
I like that. Maybe we should have guests on more often.
We definitely want to. Like we have a list. We have a list of people that we want to bring on.
It's a small list, but it's a list nonetheless.
It is a list.
And if you're not on it, it's because you're not important enough.
Stop.
I'm just kidding. We love you all.
Guys, hey, we just want to again thank you all so much for listening, for watching, for however you're taking this in. And you have anything else to say? Any other final thoughts?
Yeah, so Aaron said something earlier that really caught me, is the reason they started looking into fostering is because they wanted to be parents. Not to take away from that at all, because that's absolutely such a beautiful sentiment. But if you want to be a parent, you don't have to have your own child. You don't have to foster. You don't have to adopt. You can be parental to other people, even if you don't qualify for being a foster parent, or if you're scared to be a foster parent for whatever reason. It's an understandable fear. You can be parental.
Yeah.
Like Aaron said, he's got a huge support group. All of his students at the church love his children. He's got friends and everything that help him out with his fostering journey. You can be that role in someone's life.
Right.
If nothing else, you can support other people that are fostering that way. You don't have to be a parent to parent.
Right. Yeah, it's not saying that that's not one way to do it. It's just, it's kind of like the episode of The Office where Michael wants to adopt because he always wanted kids and he's getting to the old age. And so he watched an episode of Oprah where like this huge adoption episode. And so he decided that he wanted to adopt. And obviously for him, this probably wasn't the wisest choice for him as just a single man who, I mean, if you watch The Office, you know exactly why. And so what we're saying is like, that doesn't have to be the only avenue to go. And so we want you to make well-informed decisions. And I mean, if you're listening to this, you're probably a grown person and you know that, but it's a good, good thing to remember.
Don't rush into things. Don't just jump into fostering because we said fostering was cool.
Yeah.
There are other ways to support.
And I'm sure Aaron would say the same thing. I wish we would have mentioned that before, but
I guarantee you he would say the same thing because like he was saying, it's not easy.
Right.
It's not the whole glamorous thing that a lot of people see. It's not the Stuart Little story. And
neither is parenting in general. Parenting
definitely don't rush out into making a kid. That's a difficult situation in and of itself. Having your own children, fostering, one's not easier or harder than the other, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but one's not easier or harder than the other. One's not more right or more wrong than the other.
Yeah.
They're just different, and in some veins, they're the same.
Yeah.
You're still a parent either way. So those are my final thoughts.
I think that's a great way to close it. I don't think I have anything else. Solid to me, man. Well, guys, thank you again so much for listening, for watching to the podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And
check the notes for links.
Yes, check it all out. Share it with your friends. Share it with your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your grandma.
Tell your friends. Tell your mom.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Always More podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share, like, and rate on whatever your platform of preference is. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Always More Pod and ask your question using hashtag AskChrisAndTim. If you'd like to support the podcast and feed into Chris and Tim's caffeine addiction, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/alwaysmorepod. For further information and to contact Chris or Tim, you can email them at alwaysmorepodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for joining